This is the motherfucking Blood Doctor Show. On a goddamn Thursday, and we might be a tiny little bit late from the day that it was, and then it could be, but nonetheless, I think we can all agree plenty of the Thursday shows have been phenomenal, and we are doing our thing here on a Thursday. We got our man B joining us. It's the Blood Doctor Show with B at this point. Let's be honest. We got to give my man a credit. We got to get my man into the intro. We got to get my man into the show title, because what is the Blood Doctor Show without B at this point? I don't even know. I honestly don't even know, because the only counterweight to the Blood Doctor is B. But before we get to the best co-host in the history of this show, at the very least, we need to go over something that I find truly, I'm going to use the word hysterical, because I came on the show recently. My son is in the background right now screaming, very upset that he is not currently participating in the intro of this podcast. I've got to let you know that he will be, one day it'll be the Blunt Doctor 2 show, and he'll be the Blunt Doctor 2. His Blunt Doctor 3, my daughter. It continues forever. Although 2 and 3 delineates that one of them is worse than the other. So we'll have to figure out a way to rename that. The Blunt Doctor, the Blunt Doctress now. Doctress is reductive and female. See, I don't know. Anyway, the point is, that's not what we're talking about here. Let's talk about the fact that I came on this show and said, murdering children is wrong. Bombing children is wrong. And that there's no scenario in which, if your military strategy involves children being dead, that's a good thing. I think that's a reasonable thing to say. I think that I can stand on that statement and that's not an issue. I feel fine saying that. But lo and behold, MAGA dipshits came onto my TikTok and expressed to me that I didn't actually understand what was going on, because I'm falling for Iranian propaganda and all these things. And number one, they are of the belief that we have bombed one school, that we have bombed one local factory full of innocent people, that we have bombed, one group of innocents. That's not how this works. That's not how this works at all. We have done, we have committed countless atrocities. And just because you heard about the most recent one, and that maybe there are differences in the reporting of whatever, doesn't somehow negate every other thing that I said. If you support policy that allows children to be murdered, you have bad policy. I do not care about they put a military base next to a school, so don't fire at that military base. How is this difficult? Don't fire at children. And if the answer is, they put schools next to all their military bases, maybe just don't invade sovereign countries. Did we ever consider that? Maybe you don't need to bomb places that didn't need it. In what world is this good for anyone? First of all, what we have found is that our military strength is not nearly that of what is claimed, because we keep going on television. We've completely destroyed Iran. They've been flattened, all these things. They shot down an F-35. Whoa. What's that about? So, again, we're supposed to be, first of all, consider that. Number one, they're so nothing. They're so basic that we just flatten them in 24 hours. Then why are you invading them? I thought they were so advanced that they had nuclear weapons. So why the fuck are we invading them? Oh, okay. So they are actually advanced. And so you didn't flatten them in 24 hours. So you're full of shit. Oh, okay. So we can't believe a word you say. Interesting. And now, the Israelis, blah, blah, blah. Because, of course, support the Israeli government through everything they do, then blame them when something goes wrong. United States strategy. It's been pointed out by many media members that seems to sort of be what's going on, is that if this fails, we're just going to blame Israel and say, well, Netanyahu's a war hawk. We didn't have any. Who put him back in power? Who arms him? Who enables him to bomb the rest of the region? I wonder what country that could be. And again, I'll say it for MAGA people who are fucking slow. If your military policy results in dead children, you have garbage military policy. And if you argue with me on that, then you're a piece of shit. And listen, if you disagree with me on that and you want to fight over it, then let's do it. Anyone who watches this show can attest. I have for years now said to every single conservative, I will box any of them. I said I will box any conservative, and they can show me that they're tougher than me. Fist fight me and prove to me that you're tougher than me. I used to challenge Charlie Kirk all the time, but he decided to accept another challenge and he lost that one. So I guess I won't be able to box him, but there's still Ben Shapiro. There's still Michael Knowles. There's still plenty of other people that I could punch into fucking oblivion. Because come on, you're supposed to be the toughest guys in the world, but none of you want to go to war. None of you want to send your children to war, but you're supposed to be the toughest people ever. I said what I said, and I stand behind every single thing I've ever said. You know, I am who I fucking am, and I know what I'm saying when I say it. And every single person who supports MAGA is a pussy. All of them. 100%. Especially now. Like, again, people who had this sort of fantasy of Trump as this sort of isolationist businessman only in 2016, like, you know, whatever. But we're literally fucking a decade on from that shit. There's no like explanations at this point. If you support what is going on with the Republican Party in the United States, you are simultaneously a fascist and a pussy. Imagine that. Imagine being the biggest bitch in the world and also thinking that you're the largest authoritarian that is. That there could ever be. That you're the toughest authoritarian in history. I love Daddy Trump so much, he's going to save all of us. And by the way, have you ever, like, there's that episode of The Office where Will Ferrell screams at Dwight. He's like, get in the office now. And Dwight says, one thing about me, I respond to strong leadership. And that's all of MAGA. They're walking around carrying their ladies' pistols like Dwight does, talking to everyone how they're so tough. And then someone comes in the room and calls them a bitch, and suddenly they're on their knees, begging like dogs for attention. Every single man who wears a Make America Great Again hat is just the biggest weakling in the world. Just a tiny little shriveled up man. Oh, please, Mr. Trump, please help me. Like fucking Tiny Tim for a party that they register and support. And they pay their money. They pay their money to walk around like little pathetic losers, sucking the dick of the impotent sundowning man who's painted orange on national television, who doesn't know what groceries are, who doesn't know what country he's in, who doesn't know what year it is. And we let our obviously incredibly gay Secretary of Defense get rid of all women and anyone who might look like women in the military so that it's all, you know, just hairless, shirtless, oiled men that he can look at. And by the way, listen, again, I've said it before. If you want a tough military, the toughest military would be an all-gay military. Have you looked at gay men at the gym? Those motherfuckers are ripped. If you want a military that is going to kick some ass, you want an all-gay military. And I really think that that's what Pete Hegseth is doing, and I support it. I wish that he wouldn't do it under the guise of being anti-LGBTQ. But listen, what we know about Republicans is that very many of them are gay, and that all of their, you know, hatred and, you know, anger towards all things homosexual is, you know, about their actual homosexuality. And if you think I'm making that up, why don't you Google Lindsey Graham and who is Lady G? Because I promise you, you're going to find out some stuff that is going to make a whole lot of goddamn sense. We live in the dumbest timeline filled with the worst people with the most power making the most hateful decisions towards the groups that many of them are part of. Why are there black white supremacists? What are we doing? What is happening? In the words of the Tucker Carlson parody from SNL this weekend, what is going on? We live in the dumbest fucking timeline. And now that gas is $87 a gallon and you can't buy eggs for less than who the fuck knows what, I don't know, $5, $6 at this point. Every single thing is 3-4 times what it cost a decade ago. Because that's how inflation works, right? 400% per decade. We live in the dumbest, most embarrassing timeline. And I said this to someone recently, but I noticed that the movie Nuremberg dropped on Netflix. And I was like, boy. Someone at Netflix knew what they were doing. And it certainly wasn't Ted Sarandos, that, that content mining, movie, TV show ruining, scumbag piece of shit who deserves to have his face mushed into a goddamn muddy river. Fuck that guy. No, but someone knew what they were doing when they put Nuremberg on the front page of Netflix, because that's coming. And when you even have Republicans rebelling, it's coming a lot sooner than everyone thinks. And again, I've said to many people, the night is darkest before the dawn. And as horrible as everything seems right now, there's no local judges to bail these guys out. They're going to The Hague. These are international crimes that they're committing on the world stage, that they're getting away with because the most powerful nation in the world backs them. But every single day we chip away at our own power and we give it to China. And every single day we chip away at every alliance we have, and we allow the rest of the world to instill itself with a confidence that they don't need to be afraid of us. All of Trump's bluster about taking Greenland by military force was, of course, nothing. And every single time you stand out there and you go, I have the biggest dick in the world and I'm going to nuke everyone. And then you end up whimpering away like a little coward bitch. Everyone gets a little bit less afraid. And before too long, we won't be the biggest power in the world anymore. And no one will be afraid of what we say or do, because we have demonstrated that we are nothing more than the boy who cried wolf, but we're not even crying wolf. We're the boy who cried transgender. We're the boy who cried gay marriage, gays in the military. We're the boy who cried someone tried to be different than a straight white male and I can't stand it. And the entire world has had enough. And finally, the dipshits within this country who enabled this, and I'm not talking about MAGA voters. You're never going to save those people. Some people are too fucking stupid to save themselves. But the independent voters who tried to explain away how, especially in 2020, that blah, 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 especially in 2024, that blah, 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 blah. All that shit doesn't matter anymore. And I'll count myself as someone who was stupid in 2020. I didn't vote for Biden because he very clearly raped Tara Reid and somehow got away with that. We're in a weird fucking world at this point. You voted for Kamala. You're a good person. Despite the fact that she's a bad person, we're in a weird world. We're in a weird fucking world. But it's coming, and I'm excited for it. And so, given that the world is being torn down and burned down and everything is garbage, and that there's nothing that we can do to actually be in a good mood, and that every single day the hellscape is so bad that jokes are no longer even worth it, because what that fucker does is actually worse than jokes. There's only one person that we can turn to put us in what might be regarded by some who view this as a good mood. So let's bring him on.
Finally, the bee has come back to the Blunt Doctor Show. What's up, everybody? You already know, D. Brandon Andrew back up in this. glad to be here on a Thursday night. We're gonna get into this. Appreciate everyone who tunes in for this.
Finally is right because I went on this one for 15 damn minutes. I was mad, so I stood on my soapbox and I preached. Anyone who knows me, though, I mean, I think that everyone would agree the soapbox is like my most natural habitat. So that's where I live. That's I'm up here just waiting for something to scream about. That's me. But you're I again I just will bring this up real quick. The gas where you are, there's $14.99 a liter. Did I see that shit correctly?
Yeah. It's it's $1.40 for that specific gas station. I ended up going to another one that was $1.50 for. So I paid what was it, 10 cents more just to get a shorter line. That's the life, and by now it probably went up again.
That line you sent me was fucking crazy, dog. I mean,
yeah,
this shit is nuts, and this is what happens when dipshits are allowed to make choices for the world. But hey, whatever. Dipshits make choices for the world, but dipshits also make choices about what football team they're going to support, and some dipshits choose to support the Denver Broncos, which makes me very angry. Let's go ahead real quick. Let's check in with the chat because we got some good comments so far. Hell yeah, I got the music. Yeah, oh, well, we hate the Jets, of course, but we hate the Broncos too. But, love the music. Beyond reasonable. I am assuming that's about me talking shit about MAGA, which, again, MAGA will blame whoever they're told to. As we know, every single person who is in MAGA can't think for themselves. So what are you going to do? But yeah, no, I agree, man. I mean, fuck the Broncos for sure. But, the Jets maintain the crown. That's why I launched the I Hate the Jets show, which felt so good and went so much better than I ever thought. I just for an hour talked about hating the Jets, and it was like one of the most cathartic experiences of my entire life. And I'm going to do it again many more times. So first thing, I mean, well, yeah, let's just get into the big, the news that's crazy that I really didn't see coming at all. And that is, Jalen Waddle, now a Dolphin. Like this shit is, or excuse me, now a Bronco from the Dolphins to the Broncos. I mean, we know how talented this dude is. He's got the speed. What are your thoughts about this? Like, is this put the Broncos over the top move? Is this the kind of a win the offseason headlines move, but you don't think much about it? Like, how do you feel about this? Like, when you first heard about this, like, what hit you?
Well, he's a better Marvin Mims for one. Like you could put him back there potentially to be a returner. You can have him do a bunch of the Sean Payton gadgets and gizmo plays. Like he's a very versatile player for that type of offense. And I know that Bo Nix is going to enjoy throwing the ball to him a lot. Might see a career year out of him this year.
Do you view him as like a number one option in this league, in this offense?
I look at him the same way I look at Devontae Smith, sort of. Like they were in the same draft class, if I'm not mistaken. Am I right? Or am I thinking of him and who was in that draft class again? The
I'm not sure. I'm looking up right now, though. I'm looking.
Yeah, but like we seen what he was able to do when he had Tyreek in front of him. Like he had a pretty good year that first year that him and Tyreek played together. Sort of like how Devontae was always able to do his thing when he had AJ Brown next to him. So I look at them in that same light. I feel like pending that AJ Brown trade, we might see a career year out of Devontae. This could be the same case for Jalen Waddle.
But so you don't think he's like miscast in that offense? Then, like, you think this is a good fit? Like, this is gonna go. Like, you're with it.
Yeah, I think it's gonna fit. I definitely think it's gonna fit. Yeah, like the big play is either gonna be here, Cortland Sutton or him. I'm seeing it as.
Yeah, I think they were in different drafts, but yeah, I mean, my
That makes
biggest thing
sense.
is my brain just completely froze there for a minute. This has been happening to me lately. Ever since I came back to work, since having two fucking kids, my brain just like shuts off. My biggest thing is that the 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 greatest years of Sean Payton's success were when he always had a downfield burner that could take the top off of everything that was going on, and that Drew Brees could just kind of go deep. And I feel like Jalen Waddle fits that sort of mold perfectly. Like, I don't know if he's necessarily a number one option, but I feel like if we look historically at what the Saints did, and you consider like the way Bo Nix plays and Jalen Waddle's speed, like I can see a scenario where like he can just take the top off the defense constantly. And I agree with you. There's so many gimmick plays and little underneath shovel passes, all these little things that you can do. I agree with all that. But I also think that the way that the Dolphins used Tyreek, where they were just like, we're just going to let this motherfucker burn people deep. I think that Jalen Waddle has that too. And I also think that when you have some of these guys who are injured, there's something to be said for not putting them in harm's way and not making them go over the middle and say, this guy has the elite speed. Let's let him go deep and focus on that, and not so many of these injuries happen on sharp cuts over the middle. So let's just not do that. Let's let him use his burner speed. Let's let our sharp route runner dudes do things over the middle. Like, sometimes I do think that it gets a little simple as that, and we outthink ourselves. And that's where I'm like, fuck, I hate this, because it could be so good for the Broncos. Like, I don't want it to be good for the Broncos, and yet I think it's going to be incredibly good for the Broncos.
Yeah, it's something for a lot of defense gonna have to prepare for. And I feel like this was a counter move to what we seen Kansas City kind of doing.
Yeah, which is interesting because Kansas City is getting older and slower.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I understand bringing Kenneth Walker, but still, like, by definition, basing your offense around running is going to make your offense like slower, just because that's the nature of running the football. And so it's interesting to see Kansas City say, okay, we're going to go a little more old school. We're going to re up our defense. We're going to bring in a running back. We're going to bring back Kelsey. We're going to try to hold this thing down until Mahomes is ready. And the Broncos are saying, okay, we're going to try to go as fast as possible, and we're going to try to win track meets. It's interesting because obviously the Dolphins said that too, and it worked for them not at all. But the Broncos obviously have a much better infrastructure. Again, the reason I hate this is because I think it's a great move, and I don't want the Broncos to do anything that I ever agree with. That pisses me off. I hate the Broncos. I want them to fail. I respect them. I just hate them. It's a different kind of thing. But I literally think, like,
It goes back a
this
couple of
is a
years.
kind of
I remember.
yeah. It's a decade now. And the thing is, like, I lived in Denver, and dealing with how fucking obnoxious their fans were was a big part of it for me. But I see this move, and I'm like, oh my god, this is the one team I would not want Jalen Waddle to go to. This is the one team that I think can utilize what he does so much better than other teams. Like, this guy in a Sean Payton offense is worth twice as much as what he's worth with so many other teams, because Payton is so crafty. And I hate this. But that also got me thinking, like, where do you view Sean Payton, like, all time? Like, do you because I think this is an interesting question. Like, what is his all-time sort of, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know how other people view him. Like, I know how I view him. I don't know what like the consensus is. You know what I mean? I'm curious what you're like, where you're at with when you think of Sean Payton. Does he approach like the top 10 all-time coaches? Would winning a Super Bowl with the Broncos change that? Like, those are the things that are on my mind.
I'd put him in that area. Like, he's in that the comparisons with guys like Pete Carroll. Who else has won? Maybe even Mike McCarthy.
Mike McCarthy that was one I was thinking of. Yeah, he's won one. Yeah. I mean, what about like Sean Payton versus Tom Coughlin? And I know that Tom Coughlin has two. But you know, as far as like innovation and stuff, I think that Sean Payton has contributed more to football. So like, do you think Coughlin's a better coach? Do you rings above all?
Yeah,
I don't know if I come down on the rings thing in football because it's a little more complicated.
Mm-hmm. But I feel like it matters more with the coaches than certain individual players. Like outside of maybe the quarterback, like you don't really consider somebody a greatest of all time if they haven't been to the Super Bowl before. Like we don't do that with Barry Sanders. Like we didn't do it with who's the other guy I'm thinking of? Calvin Johnson. Like he only been to playoffs twice, and so a lot of people have him top 5 all time. So I think more with coaches being able to at least win one or two puts you in that conversation.
What if he won a second one? Would you put him above Coughlin then?
Yeah, I would.
Yeah, I would. I'd have to say the same thing. I mean, it is very interesting because there's a lot of coaches who are like, you know, great. Who, you know, Marty Schottenheimer never won a Super Bowl. You know, as you said, Pete Carroll won a Super Bowl, and you know, Pete like sort of rode one of the best coaches in the NFL for a decade, while the Seahawks were repeatedly winning like 9 games. Like, you know, it's one of those things where, you know, like Sean Payton's better than John Gruden, right? And I know John Gruden's reputation sucks because of other stuff, but like as a coach, Sean Payton's better than John Gruden, right? Like,
yeah,
and they both have one.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, I mean, that's the stuff that, you know, I think like Tony Dungy. Everyone loves Tony Dungy because of, you know, the Tampa 2 defense, but he didn't win a Super Bowl with Tampa. John Gruden did. You know, he won a Super Bowl with Indy with Peyton Manning. And so it's like, you know, those things are like, how do you know, those things are difficult to rate. Like, we know Bill Belichick is amazing. What about Bill Parcells? Like, he never won anything without Bill Belichick as his coordinator. That certainly says something, right? Like,
yeah, true. Very true.
I mean, you know, his 2 Super Bowl rings, you know, Parcells used to be, he's one of the greatest ever. Is he? I don't know. I mean, you might be able to attribute all of his shit to Belichick. I don't know. I'm just saying that if Peyton won a Super Bowl with the Broncos, it would simultaneously vault my respect for him and also make me like one of the most enraged people of all time, because the idea of the Broncos winning another Super Bowl anytime soon is like, I don't know. It's beyond infuriating. On the flip side of that trade, the Dolphins, who I believe I saw a statistic, they have nobody on their roster. These 2 stats, the following 2 stats are true. Actually, let me just give you 3 numbers. I'm going to give you 3 numbers, okay? Number 1, the NFL salary cap this year is around $300 million. So we're in a whole other world in terms, you know, we're now at $300 million. For the record, it was 20 years ago around $100 million. So we have in the last 2 decades tripled the goddamn salary cap. So NFL Despite all the issues, just the money continues to go up and go up. So that's what the salary cap is. So you have to consider all of those things when considering these numbers. Number two, the Dolphins on a $300 million salary cap have no one making more than $11 million next year because they have an NFL record dead money of, I think it was like 150 million. Like I could have like more than half of their salary cap was like dead money. Like the Tua contract alone is 99 million in dead money. It might have been 180 million dead money. Like it was so large that my brain popped and stopped recording because I couldn't believe they're going to spend more money on dead cap than they are on players this year. And a lot of that accelerated to make this the worst year. But this is about to be the worst team ever. So let's just go first. Realistically, I think this team will go 0-17. Do you agree?
Oh, man. When I first seen Malik Willis got signed, I'm like, oh, okay. At least he's got some weapon with, H.N. and Waddle. And then it's like he doesn't even have that anymore. So it's brutal.
To be clear, I'm a Malik Willis believer. I like Malik Willis. I liked him coming into the league. What we have seen with him with the Packers, I think is, I'm not saying he's like elite or something, but I believe that he can play. I believe that. I believe that he can start in this league. And I'm not saying that he's necessarily a long-term solution that you gave all the money to, but I'm just saying, like, I've always been a Malik Willis guy. And so when he went there, I was like, yeah, all right, cool. And then I saw the moves they made, and I was like, oh, no. I was like, dude, you're going to get killed. Like, you're not playing. Like, he's going to have to run for his life. Or they're going to have to call Mike McDaniel and be like, hey, give us all the info you had on that quick game, because we got to get this ball out in under a second and a half to prevent Malik Willis from being murdered, like to tag was. I'm sorry, Tua. I apologize. I've had alcohol. No one can pronounce my last name either. It's Coconut because no one can say it right. I'm sorry, Tua. I love Tua forever. I love Tua forever, man. I've told this story. I'll tell it again. I'm like an uncle that just tells the same story over and over again. I was in Vegas. We were there for the national championship game. We had bet the over. It was 20-0 Georgia at halftime. Jalen Hurts would not move the ball. They subbed in Tua. He came out of nowhere, tied it up at 20. And then I can't remember if it was Georgia or Alabama was about to kick the field goal for the win. And we had over 45 and a half. And it was about to be 23-20, so we were going to lose. That was a bummer. So us and all the other people who had bet the over are walking out of the casino. And we run to the restroom. I step outside, and I see the kicker misses the field goal. So I run back to the edge of the restroom to yell to my friend who was in the restroom. He fucking missed it because we had the over. And we had all this money on the over. And I'm, a little drunk, not realizing we're in Vegas. So the whole bathroom is also full of dudes who had also bet the over. And a whole flood of guys go, he missed it? And so they all start running out of the bath. It's like a whole flood of guys start running out. And I realized I had informed like an entire bathroom full of degenerate gamblers. And so they're all sprinting back. And then Tua threw a touchdown and we all won. So it was all good. So I will always love Tua for the hilarity of that moment and also for winning me that money. It really was a sitcom. Honest to God, Keith was the one who was with me. It was legitimately a sitcom moment. It's one of those moments that you have in life that feels not real. But I just ran to yell. He missed it to tell Keith, who was peeing. Sorry, Keith. Now the world knows that you pee. And the entire bathroom was, of course, there was all guys who bet the over, or some of them I think who had bet Alabama money line. I think Georgia was going to win. So regardless, I will always love Tua for that reason. But $99 million of dead cap. Oh, the show's gonna go bankrupt. Malik Willis is screwed, is my point. I don't know what I feel bad for him. Like, honest to God, like I legitimately believe that he can play, and I also understand him taking this contract because if you have an opportunity to start in the NFL and you're not like a superstar who has multiple opportunities, you need to take it, and I get that. But it's going to be so hard for him to display the talent that he does have because he's going to be running for his life all the time. And so, I really do hope that incoming Jets coaching staff. I mean, they just got one for Waddle. So, they've got some stuff to work with, but it's one of those things. You should probably trade all your draft picks and move back to get like 3 more. Like, they need to take as many shots as possible because their roster is just so bereft of talent. Like, they literally, I truly believe they're going to go 0-17 next year. And that's no, judgment on Malik Willis. It's just, again, like, how do you win? They're like, no, we're going to keep Devon Achane. It's like, great. So what the fuck is he going to do? He's going to run into a goddamn brick wall. Like, but hey, it's the Dolphins. And speaking of that, it got me thinking, and I'm genuinely curious for your opinion, because, I mean, look, I think we all agree it's bullshit that only the richest people in our society get to own and control sports teams. There's no reason for there to be a good old boys club. There should be a mechanism for, communities to own teams in the way that the Packers do. But then again, the Packers don't really control that. But a legitimate question, I believe, is, do you think that there is some sort of mechanism? Like, should there be some sort of mechanism where, like, if you're a Dolphins fan, you can't stand this anymore. Like, if you don't win a playoff game for 10 years, maybe 15 years, shouldn't you be forced to sell that team? Should we just allow owners to continue to suck just in perpetuity? Just cuz? Like, should we really allow that? Like, shouldn't there be something? Am I crazy?
If they did that, there'd be a lot of teams that would have to new ownership in the next couple of years if we're being 100. Like,
but that should happen then. If you can't win one playoff game in 15 years, why do you get to continue to own a team? Like, what is we finance these stadiums, we drink the beers, we eat the hot dogs. Why do they have control forever? Like, this is a miniature club. There are 32 NFL teams.
I feel like then that's like a domino effect, because then I feel like that also breeds less patience in the head coach. If he has a down year 1 year and it's like, oh, well, I don't have time to wait for you to get it right, you're fired, and they go to a new coach because, now they're on.
But they already fire coaches. They fire coaches immediately now. How much quicker could they possibly get? What could in what world? Like, I don't even know how the leash could be shorter. They fire coaches immediately now. Well, okay. I'll add to that an addendum that every head coach has to be hired and cannot be fired for 3 years. So they can't do that. Every coach and GM maintain their job for 3 years so that they can't do that. I'm with you. That's the point, is I don't want bad ownership to continue. So I agree with you. We shouldn't let them just fire coaches all the time. So what if, I'll give you another example. What if they own the team and then it's their job to appoint an executive who makes the choices, but they are not allowed to communicate? And I mean, to the point that we treat it like tampering, like we investigate their cell phones if they so much as talk about football with this executive, like to the point that things are separate, so that if they truly just don't know who to hire, they're moving on. We just can't Like the Cardinals are just being passed down from dipshit to dipshit. And this whole state just has to deal with the dumbest children of billionaires being like, well, I can't pay $6 for what, and then they host the Charlie Kirk funeral. Like, they're bad people. There should be repercussions for their actions. Like I get what you're saying about a slippery slope, but let me put it to you this way. If we could come up with some sort of way where it wouldn't harm coaches and executives, would you think that was a good idea, or do you just think there's no way to make it work?
Yeah, I would. I definitely would.
I'm with that. I just think that there needs to be. I can't stand this shit anymore. Like I can't stand. Like,
I hear you.
Woody Johnson should not be allowed to own the Jets anymore. You shouldn't. He's ambassador to whatever country. His name is Dick. I've said it so many times. His name is Penis. That's his name. Woody Johnson. That's his name. He introduces himself to people. He walks up to them and says, "Hello, I'm Woody Johnson." What the fuck? How is that possible? Dick. Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's one thing. It's one thing if you have one, like Woody is, but if you're Woody Smith, then you're not gonna, whatever. So if you're Dick Ahmadinejad, way more people are focused on the Ahmadinejad. But he has 2 dick puns in his name. And he also is obsessed with Donald Trump. Like, I mean, the jokes write themselves, and I'm not even going to say them. And I don't know. That guy shouldn't be allowed to own a team. Now, let me be very clear. I want him to own the New York Jets forever because I want the New York Jets to fail forever. But he shouldn't be allowed to. You know what I'm saying? Like, what I want should not supersede the rules. Well, what I want should supersede the rules, but not like in that way. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's the narcissism show with the Blood Doctor. I just, I'm just at a certain point. Like, how many years would you? Okay, what about 20 years with no restrictions, with no whatever? If you just say 20 years, no playoff wins, you got to sell the team. That's reasonable.
That's reasonable,
right?
Yeah,
right. I think a 20-year term, like, that's longer than we give like senators. Like,
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, the people who guard our government get like less time than NFL head coaches in some cases. I'm just saying, or more time. I don't know. I can't make the argument I was just trying to make, but it was funny. Oh God. I just saw what you sent me now with O'Shea Jackson. I can't even stand this motherfucker. Any NFL takes before we talk NBA? We're getting into the weird part of the schedule. All the takes now are pretty much, if you have anything about the draft, who you think is going to be the best quarterback, all of those things are where we're at.
He's got Brady.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
Fernando to the Raiders makes the most sense ever. They might actually be able to be a formidable franchise for once. I'm just very glad that he's not going to the Jets. That would have been terrible. And if I was him and the Jets had got the number 1 overall pick, I would have gone back to Indiana. Like, you probably make the same money. So in the NBA, the number 1 news is the saddest news. And, I get, well, if you're a Pistons fan, it's the saddest news. Injuries suck. Cade Cunningham, collapsed lung, out, anywhere from 3 weeks to 6 weeks. Depends on the person that you ask. Depends on the severity. It's a bummer.
Yeah.
And I have 2 thoughts when when I hear this. Number one is, I hate thinking this way, but number one, this probably torpedoes the Pistons' title chances because it's just going to be hard for him to reach 100%. And the second thing I've thought is, when considering this whole scenario, like this is another thing where that 65 game rule for all NBA and everything is so stupid because if Cade ends up playing, and I didn't look at his exact games, maybe he's already played 65, but just in a scenario where he ends up with 60 games, 60 games of Cade this season has been worth more than 82 games of many, many, many players because of what he provides. And that 65 game rule, it's stupid as fuck. Do you agree with that? Are you?
Yes.
I think we've talked about that, but you're off the rule, right? You hate that.
Yeah, I've never been a fan of it.
And I think this is a perfect example of that. And so, because, it's just like, this is a dude who, and again, in some cases, when a team completely falls apart without a guy who's injured, that is, again, almost a stronger case for that player's MVP. Like, if a team completely falls apart without a dude, most valuable player is not who scored the most points. It's not who had the highest PER. It's not who had the most win shares. It is most valuable player. And
the rules change every year.
What guy? Yeah. Well, in my opinion, it's simple. It's what dude, if you take him off that team falls the fuck apart. It's always my rule. And I don't care how you judge that. And I don't care about the statistics. Whatever way you want to judge that is fine with me. But to me, value is very simple. When that player is out, that team falls the fuck apart. And so, to me, I'm not saying Cade is necessarily MVP, but I'm saying that he is 100% a first-team All-NBA player. He is 100% a top 5 MVP valid player. And so for him to potentially not be eligible for those things, or for other people in this scenario to not potentially be eligible for those things because of stuff like this, I think is stupid as hell. And, I understand the spirit of the rule because they were sick of guys sitting out games that were on national television and all these things. I get that. But anytime you put a hard number on something without any sort of, variation or, hey, we can discuss this or whatever, you're going to create these scenarios. And as everyone has pointed out, like third team All-NBA this year is going to be insane. Because you're going to have guys who should be nowhere near All-NBA that are going to be third-team All-NBA because they played 65 games. Like,
I also think they should add the Offensive Player of the Year award, too. I feel like it would help with the MVP discussion.
I agree with that. I think Offensive Player of the Year is – the thing is that, like, there's nothing wrong with awards. Like, I feel like we have this sort of like, well, if we create a bunch of awards, like, who cares? We should create quite a few awards. There should be several awards. I'm not saying there need to be 40, but like we have like what, 3, 4, 5 awards right now. If you take that to 7 or 8, that's not, the league is incredible right now. And there's so much talent and you should be recognizing it.
How do you feel about, I remember Jalen Williams a couple of years ago. He said there should be a perimeter defender of the year and a paint defender of the year.
I really don't. I really don't hate the idea of. I still think there should be a defensive player of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you want to say that there's a perimeter defender and a paint defender, and that generally one of those dudes also wins defensive player of the year, I'm fine with that.
Because it seems like DPOY usually just goes to the best big man more times than not.
Yes, it does. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that people who love defense are people who love advanced stats, and advanced stats almost always favor big men. because of the fact that they're involved in more defensive plays, because the fact that they're involved in more rebounds, advanced stats almost always favor, like Jokic will always be favored over SGA by advanced stats. And does that, maybe not always, like, but in a lot of cases. Mm-hmm. And I agree with you and wonder how much of that is true. And the thing is that we have seen how much a guy like Kawhi Leonard, who can just shut down the entire perimeter, can mean to a team. And I am a person who has always believed in more advanced statistics, more defensive statistics. I had an idea for a stat at one point. Someone replicated it, and then I don't know what actually happened to it, but I had an idea for a statistic about passing that was not necessarily about assists, but like how many passes actually generated a good shot. Because so often a point guard will throw a really good assist to the corner, and the guy will miss the shot, and that's not recorded as an assist, but that was still a great pass.
Yeah.
And so, I always thought there should be a statistic that records what is a good pass.
Like
versus
pass
what
that
is
leads to an open shot or something like that.
Right. Versus a pass that leads to an isolation or a pass that leads to a turnover. I always thought there should be a statistic because, again, an assist is great. But there are also 5 or 6 more passes a game that you probably threw that could have been assists. That would, like, if you put Chris Paul in a statistic like that, he would shoot through the roof, right?
Yeah.
And so I do think that there are certain areas for improvement in statistical analysis in basketball, because I do think that we get a little bit like, oh my God, this guy can dunk. That's amazing. But there is a little bit more room. And that's one area that I think. And so I don't actually hate the idea of defensive perimeter player of the year and, paint defensive player of the year, because those are the two divisions. Like, when people say wing defender, you're, kind of going between those two things. Yeah. But ultimately, there's paint defense and there's perimeter defense. And I don't hate that idea at all. Again, I don't think there's anything wrong with 7 or 8 awards, because we do this thing where, like, we say, oh, he wasn't the MVP. And then that's, like, viewed as denigrating a player. Like, if you say someone is the 3rd best player in the NBA, that's fucking incredible. It's not criticism of that player. Yeah. And so I think that if we had a few more awards to sort of open up how we view the league itself, I don't see anything wrong with that. And I do think that we should look at perimeter defense more, because the thing is that there are almost no perimeter defensive statistics. The only perimeter defense statistic is steals.
Yeah.
And that's the maximum of like 2 per game, like you're not going to steal 8 per game, like steals, deflections, but that's not what perimeter defense is. It's forcing a guy to pick the ball up, forcing a pass, denying an isolation, denying an interior pass, shutting down a pick and roll, all these other things. So I actually like that. What did you think about it? Did you like the idea? Did you hate the idea?
Yeah, I do. I feel like, because the advanced analytics, it's kind of hard to really get what they're measuring when they come up with all these numbers.
It's true. It can be difficult to know. And there is something to be said for the eye test, because, like, I mean, any of us who love basketball have been playing and watching our whole life. So, like, like, DeMar is the ultimate, like, everyone, the advanced stats don't love DeMar DeRozan. But anyone who fucking knows basketball knows that DeMar can play. And I'm not saying that he's, like, an elite whatever, but anyone who's ever watched DeMar knows you do not want that motherfucker shooting the ball when the game is on the line, because he's going to bury you, because he's done it a billion goddamn times. Like, we know DeMar can ball. And again, you might say, well, his defensive rotations, I understand all of that. But DeMar is the ultimate guy who, and again, I stand on the 2019 Raptors would have won with DeMar instead of Kawhi. I stand on that. I'll never come off it. I will never come off it. I stand by it. And I'm gonna get DeMar on my show, and I'm gonna tell him that, and he's gonna like love me forever, because I bet you anything he agrees.
He definitely does.
Do you think now the Pistons are? I mean, the East is now. It's continued to be wide open, but now it's wide open. You mentioned the Celtics when we were talking the show pregame. Are you kind of on the like the Celtics are going to take the East now?
Well, Tatum's not back to being Tatum, but it's still better than whoever they got starting instead of him. So with the way Jaylen Brown's playing, they got a legit shot. And they've already got the whammy on Cleveland. So, we ain't got to talk about that squad over there. Playoff James Harden, until otherwise proven, is a choker in the biggest moments.
He's talking about his own team, folks. So you can respect this man for giving you the truth. Because when you hear me talk about the Suns, you hear, let me explain to you why this 36-point essay proves that the Suns have a statistical chance of winning the championship. And when you hear this man talk about his team, he's like, they're not going to win anything. They're all going to burn to the ground. I'm going to burn their houses to the ground. It's honest, real.
And it's the truth, man. We suck.
Do you believe this is? I think this is the truest question at this point about NBA basketball. Is there anyone in the East that can beat anyone in the West? Or are the Western Conference Finals just the finals?
Celtics at their best.
That's kind of how I feel.
If Tatum's healthy,
could
like 100% Tatum, he could give OKC a run. The Celtics, yeah.
Really? With Kata at center? Like you think with Kata and Vucevic they could win?
Yeah, just because I trust their offense a little bit more than I trust the Spurs offense.
But like but with the Celtics have Vucevic and Neemias Queta at center. Like, you really think they can beat the Thunder? Like that just. What if it was the Nuggets? Like,
definitely,
I feel like the Nuggets would eat the Celtics alive at this point. I don't know if the Nuggets can make it because Aaron Gordon isn't healthy, but.
Yeah, you already know my disposition to the Nuggets.
That's true. That's fair. So you're still not. You're not like a. You're not like a believer in the Thunder nuclear thing. Like you seem to have more like, because like everyone else right now is just like the West is so tough and no one's whatever. You don't seem to have the same quite like.
I still think it's the Thunders to lose.
Indefeatable.
I think it's the Thunders to lose, but I really like over the last couple months, it's very apparent how much Shea covers up for that squad. Because like if you look at it,
so you
not
think
hitting the shots anymore. Jalen Williams hasn't been playing at the level he was at last year either, and it's like feels like Shea has to save the day every time.
So you think that if the Celtics have Tatum at say like 80% of Tatum, that they have a legitimate chance to knock off the Thunder as currently constituted?
Yeah, I think they do.
Interesting. That's interesting. And I'm not saying I disagree. All I hear is these days, just the Thunder are so tough and, this, that, and the other. And especially because the Nuggets have sort of fallen back. Because a lot of people, I think, were really, funny enough, were like so high on the Nuggets. And as Aaron Gordon has been, in and out of the lineup the whole season, that has really made a lot of people fade. And I think it's interesting because the East is more open than ever, and yet every single day it kind of does seem like it's like hard to know who's gonna Like all of a sudden, the Hawks are one of the best teams in the East, and the Hornets are one of the best teams in the East. You know what I mean? Like the Hornets are fucking balling lately, dude.
Yeah.
Like,
if you look at how
like
OKC dominated last year, like teams just started realizing, like if we don't turn over the ball, a lot of their points take a dip. Because like they were amazing with their points off of turnovers, and then we saw how Tyrese Halliburton, he's a low turnover guy, and it's like every play's going through him, and they almost won that series because they were always in all of those games.
Yeah, I mean,
so
and anyone who knows me can. It's true, and you can go watch. I put a bunch of TikToks going into that series, and the one thing that I said was that the reason I thought that the Pacers had a legitimate chance to win was that when SGA sits, the Thunder do not have a backup point guard. They had no one to create offense, and especially with J-Dub having, we didn't know at the time he had a broken wrist, but he wasn't himself. It was very clear that they didn't have a secondary creator. Cason Wallace was not who he has been this year. Alex Caruso's never been a point guard. Lou Dort, again, these guys are not creators. And I really think if Tyrese Halliburton had stayed healthy, I think they would have won that series. I believe that. I think the Pacers would have won. That's just what I think. I hate to blame injuries, but again, the Pacers were winning at halftime. Like if Andrew Nembhard had a hot second half, the Pacers could have won Game 7. Like it is what it is. Like Tyrese Halliburton got hurt 8 minutes into that game, and the Pacers were still winning at halftime. They had a legitimate chance to win that game. I don't care what anyone says. And so I agree with you that the Thunder are not infallible. I just find it interesting that like there seems to be like this sort of simultaneous discussion that like the East is garbage, the West is amazing, but also like nobody can beat the Thunder, but maybe the Celtics could. Like people seem to kind of go back and forth, and I don't disagree with you. Like I think a healthy Celtics team provides a very valid challenge to the Thunder. I just think that like the health of Hartenstein and Chad Holmgren matters a lot to that series, because if the Thunder's bigs are hurt, then the fact that the Celtics don't have elite bigs doesn't matter nearly as much. And it's one of those things where you kind of go back and forth, but who else, if anyone, do you think has a chance to win the Eastern Conference? Like, do you think the Pistons still have an opportunity, or are you just like Cade's hurt, he's not going to himself?
I think they need the first seed for me to believe in them.
Yeah. It's still possible. I mean, but boy, this would be this. They've got so many young dudes who've had so many opportunities. Now is the time to show out, I mean, this is the time. It's going to be very interesting to see. It's a bummer to me just because for a while it started to look like the Eastern Conference was going to be hot. Like these playoffs were going to, like, we really start. This was, and of course, injuries just derail everything. And, that is what that is. You can't control that. But it definitely sucks that no matter what happens, we seem to continue with this pattern where the Eastern Conference is just inferior. And I don't know what it is. I don't know why it is, but the Western Conference is just leaps and bounds better. And it just sucks that you have multiple teams that they're like in the, like the Suns would be like a 4 seed or a 3 seed in the East. And they're in the play-in in the West because of how deep the West is. And that's what it is. But on that front,
when they do the realignment and put Minnesota in the West.
Well, that's what we're about to talk about. The NBA is about to vote on expansion. Yeah. And the NBA is coming close to voting on expansion to add a team to Seattle and to add a team to Las Vegas. LeBron has vehemently denied that he is part of the Vegas ownership group, which makes me believe that he is actually going to play another year. So, what do you want to talk about real quick? Do you want to talk about the Lakers, or do you want to talk about expansion? Which of those two things?
Let's talk about expansion.
Expansion.
Mm-hmm.
The cities are locked in. It's Seattle and Vegas. For a long time, it seemed like Mexico City might be a possibility because of the amount of money Mexico City has put into cleaning up pollution and all these things. Carlos Slim, a Mexican billionaire, has worked his ass off to try to get a franchise in Mexico City. The NBA has thus far resisted. And at this point, they will continue. So, obviously, in terms of Seattle, the Sonics come back. That's the idea. We add a new team to Vegas, which means one team goes east. So, yeah, question one. Who goes east? The Minnesota Timberwolves, the New Orleans Pelicans, or the Memphis Grizzlies?
Send Minnesota over.
You take Minnesota?
Yeah.
Even though New Orleans is further east?
Yeah.
You just want Ant Edwards in the Eastern Conference?
Yeah.
I can understand that. Ant Edwards in the Eastern Conference is a good idea. Listen, we need to put some
He'd
stars.
Never miss an All-Star game ever again.
Yeah. Unless he gets another woman pregnant. How do you feel about, I would assume the Sonics coming back happy, right?
Yeah.
The Sonics never should have left.
So does that mean they take their history and OKC has its own lore now?
I believe so. I think so. I think the Sonics lore goes back to Seattle, and I think the OKC lore. But here, if OKC wants to include the Chris Paul years, when they had the Chris Paul the Oklahoma City, but when New Orleans played in Oklahoma City during Hurricane Katrina, if they want to include those because that team relocated to Charlotte, blah, blah, I'll let them. But I think that the Sonics deserve the 1977 NBA championship. That wasn't an Oklahoma City Thunder championship. That was the Seattle Sonics championship. And they deserve that. And I think it's bullshit. And I don't think anyone's going to fight that.
Yeah.
How do you feel about a Vegas NBA franchise? It's worked pretty well for hockey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even
it's worked well for hockey. It hasn't worked so great for football. The baseball thing is there.
Yeah. The WNBA, wasn't the Aces doing well?
They win every single fucking year at this point.
They've
repeatedly beaten my Mercury, and I hate them. And they just signed Asia Wilson to a new Supermax, and it's infuriating because she's the best player in the history of the WNBA. And, of course, she's not going anywhere. Asia Wilson, Bam Adebayo's wife, who, she came out to support him when he scored 83, which was pretty cool. But, yeah, I hate the Aces because, they've destroyed the Mercury over and over and over. Asia Wilson is, she literally can't, she is a lot like Wemby. Yeah, she's a lot like Wemby in that there's just nobody like if you go look at what Asia Wilson has done since she's come into the WNBA, it's basically like if you made a 2K WNBA career and you made a 7-foot center and you were just like, I'm going to dominate every game and every season. Because they play 40 minutes, but if you look up her per 36 minute stats, they're absurd. If you look up her, and again, they play fewer games. I understand all that. Great. Asia Wilson is one of the greatest basketball players of all time. She's one of the few women who, and I'm not trying to hate on the WNBA, but it's just factual that Asia Wilson is one of the few WNBA players who could check many, many, many NBA players and could embarrass a lot of them. Not all of them, but there are a lot of dudes who are 6'3", 6'4", 6'5", who believe they could destroy Asia Wilson, who are very, very wrong. I'm not one of these people who says that, I love both leagues. I understand that the men are taller, they're stronger, there's an athletic difference. I'm just saying that Asia Wilson is look at a picture of her and Bam next to each other. Like she's like it's, she's destroyed the entire WNBA since she's got there. I think it's cool. I mean, I'm all for expansion. I think the expansion in the U.S. is a better idea than for a while they were looking at going to Europe. I hate that.
Crazy.
I don't think the NBA Europe stuff makes any sense. Crossing, continents to play, it never works well.
Just have your own Euro League then, if you really want to do all of
right,
that.
Yeah, exactly. If you want to do a league, do NBA Europe, and then you could have, if you want to, have the NBA and NBA Europe play a championship against each other. Like, why the hell not? Like, do different things. But this idea of let's put an NBA team in London, just logistically, it makes no sense. Anyone who's ever watched football occur in Europe knows, like, my God, that shit's terrible. It would take them weeks to acclimate. And imagine, what are you supposed to do? You have a back-to-back, you play in New York City, and the next night you play in London? Get the fuck out of here. Like, we're not doing this stuff. Like, this shit's crazy. So I think it's ridiculous. I love the idea of expansion. Last thing. What did Luka end up with? He ended up with 60 something.
Yeah, it was 60 on Miami as well. Talk to me. So I know you've been a big Luka hater, and you also hate the Lakers.
I'll say two things. I will say two things. Number one, if the Suns drafted Luka Doncic over DeAndre Ayton, I would be the biggest Luka Doncic fan in the world. I acknowledge it. I 100% acknowledge it. Number two, I will also say, I think if he doesn't win a championship very soon, like in the next 2 years, I don't think it's going to happen. And maybe it would happen later with him as a sort of role player kind of thing. But like the idea of Luka being like the best player on a championship team, I think that shit is fading. And I'm actually not trying to hate on him. I'm legitimately, like 4 years ago, I was like, Luka's about to win the first of his 5 MVPs, and I know how this is gonna go, and all, because I just thought that how this shit would go. I just thought it was gonna go that way. And Jokic has sort of taken that mantle from him. And Luka is, he's scoring out of his mind, all these things. And right now the Lakers are hot as fuck. But I just wonder, I'm actually not hating for once. I'm legitimately curious if he doesn't do it in the next 2 to 3 years. Like, dude, SGA is still like 4 years younger than him and getting better. Like, Jokic
is the same as him.
Huh?
SGA is only a couple months younger than him. Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
No, Luka's like 28 and SGA is 27. He's like multiple years younger. Did I just say 4? What I thought. No, okay. Listen, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. SGA is younger than Luka. No? Am I crazy?
By a couple of months. I'm about to check.
No. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. If you're right, listen. You know me. If you're right and I'm crazy as fuck, you are right. I could have sworn it was at least a 2-year
February 28th, 1999.
Okay, they're only a year different. You're right. SGA is only a year younger. You're right. You're right. I thought it was like 3-4 years. Fair enough. Yeah. But Cade Cunningham is significantly younger. Victor Wembanyama is significantly younger. Mm-hmm. There are multiple dudes. Fair enough. SGA is not that dude. That's fair. But there are multiple guys who are coming. And I do wonder, like, the idea is sort of right now that LeBron's on this, $50 million contract. He's not quite what he once was. He still has his moments, but the team is misfit. We'll recalibrate it next summer. All these things. I'm just curious. Am I wrong? Am I completely missing the boat? Like, Luka has 6-7 more years, or do you see what I'm saying? That we're reaching a point where, Luka's ability to control the pace but play no defense. I don't think this lasts forever in this way. Am I just wrong? You tell me. If you know me, if I'm fucking wrong and you tell me I'm wrong, I will believe you.
I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. Like the fact that he's not that athletically gifted and the way he plays, it's like once your prime is done, you're going to have to switch it up completely because at least with James Harden, he's had some athleticism playing that similar style of heliocentric ball, but it's like we already not in the best shape. As I get that he went over the offseason and got better, but like that's relatively compared to, let's say, LeBron at your age.
Exactly. You know what it reminds me of? And nobody's going to remember this, and I'm dating myself. Magic Johnson came back to the Lakers after he retired. Everyone forgets. Magic came back to the Lakers, and he played power forward. And there was a little bit of time after he retired, because Magic retired because of the HIV positive diagnosis. Then he ended up playing in the All-Star game. And Magic actually came back to the Lakers for a short time, retired again, then took over as head coach, then retired as head coach, then eventually took over as GM, blah, blah, blah. But the point is, there was a time that everyone sort of forgets in history when Magic came back to the Lakers and he was not a point guard and he was a power forward because he was still 6'10" and had all these skills. And I kind of think that Luka is going to have to go down that route before too long, where it's going to be like, hey, dude, you're 6'9". You're going to have to play forward. You're not a point guard anymore. And all of my animus towards Luka has always been, you do not care enough about basketball for all of the hoopla around what you can do. And at this point, again, even I expected him to have MVPs. Like, there is a certain point. Like, I saw someone tweet, like, if you want defense, you want Wemby. If you want scoring, you want this person. If you want passing, you want this person. If you want all of it, you want Luka. And I was like, you literally just compared Luka's defense to Wemby? Like, Lakers fans are delusional. And I wonder, I don't know, man. And again, they outperformed my expectations. I thought the Rockets were going to smack them these last few games. They haven't. I thought when Luka's kids were taken away from him, he was going to be depressed, but instead he has been fueled because he is finally free to just drink beer and ignore his children as much as he wants. That's my assumption. Well, dude, listen. You know what? I'm going to go on a rant for a moment. We're already over. I don't give a fuck. My favorite season of basketball is the 2013-2014 Suns. What up, Keith? You can confirm. The most fun we've ever had is watching Goran Dragic and watching Gerald Green play basketball together for two reasons. Number one, as I've said many times, watching Gerald Green play basketball was watching a person play basketball whose mother had physically been assaulted by a basketball rim, and he was going to punish every single rim he ever saw by dunking on that rim so goddamn hard that rim would remember his name. That was Gerald Green. When Gerald Green dunked a basketball, James Naismith felt it in the racist ancestry of the people that he invented basketball and stole it from. Like, I'm just telling you, Gerald Green dunks a basketball in the way that a basketball was meant to be dunked. And the other thing that happened that season is that Goran Dragic had his first son. And after he had his first son, straight up, that was the greatest thing forever. And after he had his first son, Goran Dragic averaged 25 points a game, 6 assists, and 5 boards. He shot 50, 40, 90 because he had his first son, and that motherfucker was balling out of his goddamn mind. So, listen, I'm not even going to hear, oh, I had a kid that made it more difficult. No, goddamn it. When you have a kid, you ball out of your goddamn mind. So for Luka, I lost my kids. Yeah. Oh, and he's better. You should be terrible right now. And I'm so sad that my model girlfriend took my kids to Slovenia. No, he's not. He's like, I'm alone in Los Angeles with no children. Like, deadbeat dad. Deadbeat dad Luka Doncic. Terrible. And I would say none of this if the Phoenix Suns had drafted him. That is my hypocrisy.
He had to get his Luka Hayden.
I gotta get my Luka Hayden. And you sent me the thing about O'Shea Jackson. That's the thing. Only O'Shea Jackson, Ice Cube's son, could tweet a photo of like a champion logo after a 60-point performance when Bam scored 83, which for anyone counting is 23 more than 60. Oh my God.
Oh man.
We're through the it's embarrassing at this point. Lakers fans are basically Harlem Globetrotters fans. Every game should be 155-60, otherwise the Generals cheated. That's the Lakers. That's what they are.
Oh man.
Any last hot takes before I let you go? It's the middle of the night. I'm off my soapbox. We're finally done.
Lakers in the conference finals versus OKC. OKC barely beats them in a 7-game series.
I'm like, these motherfuckers, they're terrible. They're not going to do shit. They're like, yeah, they're going to. Oh, well, I expect to see you here next week, unless, of course, gas prices force you to relocate to the Yukon, in which case I'll understand if you have no more internet access.
I'll keep you posted on that one, that's for sure.
If you're here next week, we're going to have a new intro that includes B. Man, you deserve a portion of the intro. We're making it happen.
There we go.
You still have to give your own intro, but we're giving you part of the logo. It needs to happen.
Let's go.
Let's go. Fucking King and Doc podcast Saturday night. And if not, I Hate the New York Jets Saturday night and Sunday Night Sun Sunday, which will also be Sunday Night Wildcats. Go University of Arizona, March Madness, etc., etc. I am the Blood Doctor. This is the Blood Doctor Show. I am exhausted. Let's go.